I'm Ryan. Some people say raising the minimum wage is nothing more than charity.
I'm Ryan. Some say it's just not feasible. We'll discuss whether they are drunk or sober when we return.
You know, Betty White really is the greatest Golden Girl. Choosy parents choose Jif. He's so mean. He really is. Hey Ryan, are we out of partisan again?
Minimum wage jobs are for high school kids, and adults should go to college or vocational school if they want more money. Drunk or sober.
I'll let you get started on this.
Thank you, Ryan. This is about as drunk as you can get.
Okay.
This is just rip-roaring. You're having a great time, and you're definitely not remembering anything. So here's the deal. No one makes a job based on who. No one's making a job for a particular person. They're not making jobs saying, man, you know what? I really would like to get high school kids in here. No one thinks that.
Right.
You make a job based on a need, based on a purpose, what someone's going to be doing. So the assertion that it's for a particular person or a particular age group is something that you just made up. It's not based on anything, and there's no precedent to suggest there is. Additionally, to show that it's not designed for high school kids, we can look back to when minimum wage was created.
Wait, you can look back to when it was created.
Yes.
Huh.
This is something new that I've discovered.
Interesting. What would you use to do that?
Probably, well, my first resource would probably be the internet.
Oh, the internet. Okay. All right. I hope everybody's familiar with this resource.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see. But you can look at when it kind of started, when it first started, back to good old FDR. And also, whether something you may or may not know, he was really popular as a president.
I've heard of this.
He was elected 4 times. He was so popular.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. He's the reason we only have 2-term presidents now. But let's move past that. FDR said, by living wages, I mean more than a bare subsistence level. I mean the wages of a decent living. And that ties in here because obviously it's not designed for high school kids. It's designed to provide something. It's not designed for people. It's for a certain thing.
Sure.
And also the other thing that's really drunk about this is they say, hey, if you want more money, you should just go to school, right? So the word should assumes availability here. For instance, you wouldn't say, you should look it up if you had no way to do that. You wouldn't say, you should grab chicken at the store if there was no store, or if you knew they were sold out of chicken. You wouldn't say, hey, you should ask her out if there's no women in the bar. You also wouldn't say, you should turn on the game if you don't have TV. These are all things that you wouldn't do because you know what those words mean. And this sentiment is actually why people were so mad with the assertion, let them eat cake.
Okay. Describe that. Why?
Oh, there wasn't cake for them to eat.
Oh, okay.
So they got mad.
That was for the French Revolution, I believe.
Well, I don't know. You might need to look it up on something.
The internet.
I can't remember.
Internet, I think, is where you said you would go.
Yep.
Okay, internet. Okay. So you can look up things on the internet, which gives you a historical background.
Yeah, and history books.
Okay.
That too.
Oh, history books.
In case you don't have the internet, you can go to a library.
Library.
Okay, cool. Next round?
Yeah, so I totally agree with you. I know it sounds like we're talking down to a lot of listeners, but apparently a lot of listeners or viewers need to be talked down to. So
you deserve it.
Yes, I agree with you. This on all the things we're going to talk about today. This reaches the highest level of drunkenness. Based on what you said, it's entirely made up, right? It's not a statistic that is misled or misconstrued. It's entirely made up. This idea that jobs were created for high schoolers, and that the wage is entry level. Because, as you point out, FDR was very specific, and he's the one who created this. Very specific about who it was for. So I'm going to piggyback on that a little bit. So he said it's for all workers. Now, the terms all and workers, I guess, are nebulous to some, so I'm going to help define all workers. And thankfully, FDR helped with this. When he says all workers, he says, by all workers, I mean all white-collar jobs And even the people wearing overalls. That means blue collar as well. He didn't say high school kids, though if they were working, I assumed they'd be covered in one of those categories.
Overalls were very prevalent at the day.
They were. So it's for everyone. And as you said, it is not for entry-level pay. It is for pay above mere subsistence levels. And I went ahead and just looked up subsistence.
Oh.
Okay? That means minimum. So it's funny that we call it the minimum wage, but then he says it's above minimum levels. A decent level of earning is what he's talking about here. I totally agree with your idea that you don't create jobs typically for high school kids. I assume there might be one out there where someone said this is perfect for a high school kid.
Sure.
There might be.
Sure. But what they did first was actually had a job description. They had a need that was filled. They needed to be filled. It was a role that was required for their business to work.
Yes, and typically when you're talking about businesses and why they have those roles, when they're looking for people, they're looking for people who are reliable and committed. Which generally is not used to describe high school kids. I don't know if you know that, but typically they have extracurricular activities, they want to hang out with friends, and generally they don't need the jobs. That's not to say all of them fit that mold, but a lot of them surely do.
If we're going to stereotype, that's a pretty safe one.
Thank you. I'm a big proponent of going to college. I like it as a response to someone who says, I would like to better my life. I would say, okay, let's give you more opportunity.
Sure.
And typically, college is a great way, or vocational training in general, is a great way to provide yourself with more opportunity. The problem is, as you pointed out, there isn't an excess of jobs, and there is not an extra need for college graduates. We have plenty of them, and we don't have enough jobs. So while your opportunity may increase, you actually getting a job above minimum wage isn't necessarily that likely.
Yeah.
And so what are you doing if you're not working at that above minimum wage job? You're working at a minimum wage job.
Yeah, right. You have to settle regardless of your educational achievements.
And if you have educational achievements, wouldn't you hope to make more than minimum wage, even at a minimum wage job, because you are overly qualified?
Sure.
And if you don't expect to make more, wouldn't you hope it'd be at least a living wage, since you did what everyone told you to do?
Went to school.
You went to school. And so it's just not really a good answer for solving the problems. And the other thing is, if we tell everyone who has a minimum wage job currently, go get degrees. Let's assume they all get degrees.
Okay.
Okay, now we have millions of more people who are fighting for the same few jobs that probably don't even want the minimum wage job.
Because going to school didn't create more jobs for the people who went to school.
Absolutely. There's a problem with jobs being accessible and available to people. So just telling people, go to college so you can get a job isn't an answer. Also, many of the people who say this never went to college to get an above minimum wage job. So they're saying, do something I didn't do, and then you'll get a job that doesn't exist.
I know it works.
Exactly. All right, final call.
I'm good to go. Madam Brewmaster, next talking point.